At 25 years old, I had been married for 4 years. I had one baby and another on the way. And what I wish I had known back then that I know now is that my purpose is not my identity. My calling is not my identity. And the reason why I say that is because, unfortunately, I think society, culture, it pushes onto women that, you got to get married. You got to, have children and be a stay-at-home mom. And yes, those are all things that I wanted. Those are all things that I desired. However, that became everything that I was consumed with. All I was worried about was how good of a mom I was, how good of a wife I was, and it had nothing to do with the true me. You get what I'm saying? Our identity comes from God, and it comes from God alone. So you cannot operate in your purpose and in your calling fully if you don't know who you really are. Those things do not make up your identity. So when you make mistakes as a wife, as a mother, as a career woman, you cannot allow those things to deter you and make you feel some type of way about yourself, because that's when you start getting insecure. That's when you, start downplaying yourself or hiding. And it's really just, it's not healthy. It's not healthy for you and your mental health. It's not healthy for the people around you because you're not being authentic to who you really are. And so, when I think about my identity, I think about the core of who I am. I think about the root, my soul, my spirit. Who does God say that I am? And he says that I'm loved, that I am his child, that I am righteous, that I am redeemed, that I'm holy, that I'm valued by him. And those things do not change, right? My situation as a mother changes. My situation as a wife changes. And my job and career, those things have changed over time. And, whether those changes be good, bad, indifferent, they don't make up the core of who I am. See, God gives us purpose and he gives us calling according to our personalities and, the family that he puts us in, the people that he puts us around, because there's a reason why we're here on earth. There's an assignment that he has for our lives, but we can't get too wrapped up and caught up in just doing, right? At some point, we have to learn how to just be, and we have to learn how to be content and gracious with ourselves and who God has made us to be, and truly exploring that. And I think at 25 years old, child, it was a whole bunch of stuff that I didn't really know. I think I was extremely immature, just as a woman. And, now that I'm in my 30s, I'm pushing 40. Look, my, my friends be like, you not 40. Listen, I'm pushing 40. Okay. I'm on the tail end. And, in my big age, as they say, I've learned that the way that I operate, the way that I live my life has to come from a biblical foundation. There is no other way. I'm going to continue to stress myself out. I'm going to continue to try to achieve these unhealthy standards that I put on myself, or that society tries to tell me that this is what I should be doing. And, at this point, I think I've lived a fairly unconventional life compared to, people in my circles and in my family and stuff. And I'm along for the ride. I don't know what life is going to look like in the next 15 years. I don't know where God's going to take me. But one thing that I know will not change is my identity in him. I will have greater revelation of who I am, but the heart of the matter is it's not going to change. What God thinks towards me is good and beautiful and holy and perfect. And I want to know what those things are. And as I continue to have this relationship with him and get closer to him, and he reveals things to me, that is when I start to see the path for my calling and my purpose so that I can actually walk in it. And the more that I find myself secure, the better I can walk out my actual calling and my assignment that he has for my life. And so if you are 25, or if you are, recently married, or you have children, I'm not saying don't wrap yourself up in being a wife or being a mom. That is, if you have children, if you are a wife, that is part of your assignment. And I want you to lean into that, but don't make that the foundation or the basis of how you view yourself and how you view your value and your worth. That is just a piece of the puzzle. And it is the way that God has designed you to be able to exemplify his goodness and his glory and his grace in your life and to the people around you. So always remember who you are. Get into them scriptures, child. Okay. There are so many scriptures about your identity in him and what it is that Jesus has done for you as a woman of God, and how it is that that actually affects how you think, how you talk, how you live, the people that you surround yourself with, how you raise your children, how you run your business, all the things, every area of your life. Your identity in him is affected by that. Okay. So all that being said, don't forget that hiding is overrated, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.